Hello, my name is Diamond, aka Lady Leo. Welcome to my channel if you are a brand new viewer, or welcome back if you are a returning viewer. So I'm doing another Am I the Asshole? I actually have a lot of fun doing these, and I think I might just start doing something where I just like go through whatever's on top, which I did last time and I really liked that because they're pretty random. That's what I did this time, so let's just go straight into our first story. All right, this one is a little bit on the this one's a little bit on the longer side, and it is a two-parter in terms of screenshots. So this one comes to us from Prize AD 1520. Am I the asshole for telling my fiance I'll leave her if she gets bigger breast implants? Let's find out. So I, male 29, have been together with my fiance, female 36, for 5 years. Let's call her Laura. Laura and I met on a dating platform 5 years ago, and after dating for a few years, we moved in together. Since then, we've been living together and we have been engaged for 2 years now, although no plans for a wedding yet. Overall, we're on the same page regarding life, values, and beliefs. We are living child-free and focusing on our health, careers, and shared and not shared interests. So good that they're on the same page. When we met, Laura already had breast implants put in. She got her first ones after graduating in her 20s and was honest with me about them from the beginning. Literally on the second or third date, she straight up told me she had fake breasts. Okay. No problem for me. It's her body and her choice, and I respect that. I love her either way. The boob job that she had back then looked good, and I wouldn't have noticed when clothed if she hadn't told me. It came as a surprise for me back then, though. Came as a surprise. I thought, okay, anyway, but I am and was totally fine with her implants from the beginning. Laura originally got implants put in because she wanted to have bigger breasts since her naturals were barely an A cup. We have talked about things regarding her decision and cosmetic surgeries in general, and we both think cosmetic surgeries are unnecessary when going too far and building something unnatural, and they only should be done safely and with good taste. She has told me she got the size on the smaller side because she wanted to keep as natural a look as possible. During our time together, she has gotten one boob job, which I helped pay for. Okay, moving on to the next one. So just to kind of make sure I'm on the same page and make sure I'm reading right, because sometimes I feel like I miss things when I'm like reading. She had a breast job. She had a boob job when you met her, right? So she started off as barely an A cup, and then she had a boob job when you met her, and then you said she's had another one since you guys have been together. So at this point, she's at 2, right? I'm counting properly, unless he meant that I'm pretty sure that she got her breast done before you guys met. Yeah, so she's at 2 now because she's had another one since you guys have been together. Okay. Anyway, so the implants she has now fit her and look natural, but Laura has been talking about getting new ones. That would be fine. If not this time, she wants to get big ones. And I mean big, straight up unproportional breast implants for her frame that are going to stand out and don't look natural at all. I mean, what size did she get the second time? I mean, what size did she get the first time? Anyway, let me keep going. The one she's chosen means going up a few cup sizes and adding a lot of cc's. I don't understand why she wants to do such a surgery. The idea feels alien, and I can't believe what she has decided on. When I heard about how big she wanted to go, I was genuinely shocked and thought she was joking. It's not going to be good. It's not just the unnatural look issue that worries and angers me, but also the fact that 2 big implants can be damaging for her health and the surgery is risky. I'm genuinely worried about her, and I can't understand why she wants to get big ones. We have discussed the matter and she has explained it's her decision. She wants bigger breasts in order to look better according to her. She claims it's what she wants. I told her I will leave her if she decides to get the big one she's planning. I never thought I was going to have to make such a decision, but for me, it feels like I don't know her at all anymore. I thought we agreed on keeping our bodies natural and healthy, and if she decides to get those gigantic breast implants, that's not the person I fell in love with, neither on the outside or in the inside anymore. I told her I'll leave if she gets bigger breast implants. Am I the asshole? Edit. This blew up real quick, and I'm obviously not going to be answering anywhere. Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with me. Okay. A couple of things. I would I would really like to know what she was when you first met her, right? I mean, yes, her deciding to get breast implants is fully her choice, right? She started off as an A cup and she decided she wanted to get breast implants, but she said she kept them smaller to make it natural. So if I had to guess, I would say she maybe just got herself a B cup. So let's just say, for argument's sake, she got a B cup the first time she had a surgery. She wasn't happy with that. She got another surgery and she went up. I mean, you said that this last one would take her up a few cup sizes. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Again, we're going to jump into, let's say she got herself into a C cup the second time she got her breast, for her separate breast implants, C cup. So if she wants to go up a few cup sizes, which you say would be super unproportionate for her, I'm assuming she wants to go up to something like an F or a G, which is quite big. I don't know why she wants those back problems. A couple of things. That's a lot of surgery, I guess, to have on like one part of your body, And I think the thing for me would not be concerning in terms of her wanting to keep getting her breasts done. It is her body, but I'm concerned that like another surgery is not going to make her happy and she's going to continue to get surgery on like this part of her body. And I feel like that stems to like a deeper conversation, which I'm not sure if she wants to have that with you, but a conversation about like why this part of her body is something she feels so insecure about. I don't think surgery is the answer for her. And I mean, I've never had surgery to begin with, but I've certainly never had like breast lift surgery. I'm also somebody who's pretty chesty and has been most of my life. If anything, I would love a reduction. I would love to have smaller breasts. Like I like my breasts, but I would like them to be more in like the C cup range. Right now I'm like a double D. So I would like my ladies to be smaller. You want to break up with her over this. I guess I'm just kind of understanding, is it just like a value thing? Like you can't understand why she wants to keep getting this part of her body done? If so, I could understand. Do you like everything else about her? And I'm just talking about like who she is as a person, not necessarily like her body. Is this something that you would want to, like, is this a deal breaker for you, honestly? Because if it's a deal breaker, that's fine. Like everybody has their deal breakers. And if this one's a deal breaker for you, then yeah, I think you should leave the relationship if you're just not going to be able to get past it. But if I was you and you still wanted to leave, which is fine, you're allowed to do that, I would maybe just say to her, I think maybe talking to somebody might be helpful for you because this will be your third surgery for your breasts. And I'm just concerned that you're going to continue to get surgery for your breasts and like nothing will make you happy in terms of like the size. So I don't think you're the asshole, right? Because if you don't want to be with somebody, you don't want to be with somebody. It's also her body. I don't know if like giving her an ultimatum is going to like have the effect that you want it to, right? Because the point of an ultimatum is to kind of force someone's hand. And I don't really agree with doing that. I feel like if this is a deal breaker for you, you just need to have a conversation with her and say, hey, I love you, but like, we're just not on the same page. And like, I just don't think I can get past this, as opposed to saying, I'm going to leave you if you do this. I don't really like that aspect of it because, you want her to bend to your will. And I just don't think those are like the good that's not a good foundation for a relationship. So I don't really think there's like a resolution to this that's going to happen overnight. And I have a feeling that this is a deal breaker for you. So it might be the end of your relationship. But yeah, I don't know if this makes her a different person. I just think she might have an insecurity that's tied to her breasts specifically. Or it could be to her body overall. And this is just like the place that she decides to focus in. But if you do really love her and you guys have a really good relationship, this is just a suggestion, before you just cut ties, maybe you might want to try some therapy together. Try talking it out with somebody else who's a third party that might be able to help you and her understand like why this is so important to her. So that's just my 2 cents. Give it a try. I guess I don't think you're the asshole, but I also don't like ultimatums. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on that one. All right, we're moving on to the next one. Okay, so this one has three parts. Well, it's one long post that I cut into three screenshots. So we're getting started with the first screenshot. All right. So this comes from us to tired of editing shit. I kind of like that title. I get tired of editing too. Am I the asshole for leaving my partner and refusing to be involved in any way, shape, or form after they stopped taking the pill and pierced our condoms to have a child? Oh my God. I'm not laughing. I'm just, this one's going to be intense. All right, I'm ready. All right. So I guess like there was an update with this one, but I don't think I screenshotted I think this was the part of the original post. So he said he wanted to get some things straight with timeline. So we're just going to read it like I haven't read the other one, which I haven't. So my partner and I were due to get married in a few short weeks. We had many long and involved conversations during our relationship about us both wanting to remain a child-free family over the years that we've been together. So around 2 to 3 months ago, they started to appear to change their mind, which I feel insecure and unhappy about, it's not something that I want for my life, which is why I booked a vasectomy through NHS. I don't know what that is, but I can't afford to go private as money is very tight. And again, another reason why I do not want children. Okay, so first off, we're starting off with a pretty hot button topic in the sense that it's children. They were originally on the same page in the sense that they both didn't want children. One person changed their mind about wanting children. Considering this person's having a vasectomy, I would assume the other person is a woman. So she admitted to tampering with condoms and said that she came off the pill several weeks ago. At that point, prior to her saying that kids might be an option for her, we were still having sex and I was under the impression that we were protected as she was on the pill. I have made no secret about how I do not want kids, and she is fully aware of my reasons behind that, which I do not have to share with strangers on the internet. It's very true, you don't. She has shown me a test and confirms that she is pregnant. I have asked her that she get an abortion. She has refused, and I feel the trust has gone completely from our relationship. We are now in the process of canceling the engagement, which she isn't happy with at all, and has said that I'm ruining her life. All right, we have two more parts of this, but like I just need to stop here and like take a breath because I'm getting heated. I mean, this is such a violation of trust on such a deep level. So there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. Let me just say that. If you start off in a situation, in a relationship with somebody where you're like, you know what, I don't want kids, and the other person's on the same page, and then maybe later on down the line, you feel like you do want kids, there's nothing wrong with that. However, sitting there and going behind your partner's back to orchestrate having a child because it's what you want and you know it's not what they want is just it's just insane to me, right? Because who are you thinking about in this situation? You're being so selfish. You're thinking about yourself. What kind of quality of life is the child you're going to have, right? Like, you're not going to bring them into a loving environment. They're going to come into an environment where one parent is deeply resentful because they didn't want children, and you orchestrated this so that you could have child. So the OP may be like, I'm not interested in being in this child's life at all. I pay money because I have to, but I'm not going to be in this child's life. So that child is going to grow up with you as a parent, probably spewing venom about their father while you minimize like your part in the situation. And I mean, is this a good quality of life for the child that you want? Okay, sorry, let me get back to it because I'm getting really annoyed. Let's move on to the second screenshot. Okay, so now for those people telling me to go to therapy, man up, or that I'm lying, it's great that you disagree with me, but I'd never tell you to attend therapy if your worldview differed from mine. That I should be a no fault after my partner has lied to me, apparently for months, and that I'm a liar. Here are other few things to keep in mind. So, no, I do not like kids, and I don't like entitled parents. I see it as the same as disliking dogs, cats, or birds. That is my opinion, not for everyone, and not all people have to tolerate your madness. My disinterest and lack of care towards them is one of the main reasons why it would be idiotic for me to be a father. You know what? First of all, there is nothing wrong with not wanting children. I think for some people this is very hard to get past because societally speaking, it's very much ingrained in us to have these very delineated roles for men and women. And as a woman, that means having children and getting married. So when you say that you don't want children, some people, they immediately are saying, well, why not? Or you'll change your mind. I'm not really in that camp. I feel like if you know in your heart that you don't want children, as long as you're honest with the people that you're dating, who cares? What do I care? Like, there's nothing wrong with not wanting children. The worst thing is to bring a child into this world that you know you don't want because you feel like you should have them, you know? So there's nothing wrong with not wanting kids. Kids is a forever thing. It doesn't stop when they turn 18. So I definitely think it's a choice that you can't make lightly. So anyway, those calling bullshit on the 21 plus venue thing are just wrong. It's a stipulation of the venue we choose. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't read the original post. The plane thing happened several years ago. The smoking. Okay, so did I miss the original post? Hang on a sec. Oh, okay. So here's the original post. So let me just. All right. So this is the original post from the poster. So I must have misordered it when I did my screenshot. So him and his partner have been on the pill throughout their relationship, and they've been in a battle over the past few weeks over having children. He said that he didn't want them. In the morning, she told him that she's pregnant. And when he asked how it could have happened, she admitted to coming off the pill and piercing the condom that we have stored. He said that he doesn't want this and he's not marrying into a relationship based on lie. She says she's keeping it, and she already told her friends. According to her, she done the test 8 weeks ago and keeping it quiet in the hopes that I'll change my mind. He didn't know what to do. Okay. I don't know anybody who'd look at this situation and not see it as just like a deep violation of trust and manipulation on her part. She orchestrated this, right? And again, there is nothing wrong with changing your mind and wanting to have children, but she decided that she wanted to have children specifically with him, even though she knows that's not what he wants. She intentionally went off her birth control and she poked holes in the condom to ensure she would get what she wanted, which is a child. If I was the OP, I would want nothing to do with her. He doesn't want a child to begin with, so I have a feeling if she does end up having it, which she says she wants, that he'll probably have to pay child support, but he'll have no interest in being in that child's life. If I were him, I would be seething. I wouldn't want anything to do with her, and I would just see red every time I look at her. And he doesn't say how old. No, he says that he's 29. I don't know how old she is, but again, going back to what I was saying before, what kind of quality of life is this going to be for the child that you bring into this world? Because if you think about it, they're the only one who is suffering here off a decision that you made that was so selfish. You wanted a child, you decided it was going to be with him, and you hoped he would be on board with that. But you had to understand there's a really big chance that he wouldn't be. I mean, you violated his trust and you forced him into having a child. Do you think he'd just be like, yeah, okay, that's great? So like in the likely scenario that he's not on board with it, what's your plan B? You're just going to raise a child by yourself now? Is that what you wanted? Or it doesn't really matter because you just wanted a child? Like, you can have a child without being in a relationship. Like, if having a child is important to you and it's not for your partner, then you need to get out of the relationship. It's a deal breaker. You can have a sperm bank. And, I've looked on sperm bank websites because a couple years ago, I had it in my mind that if I was still single, I was going to have a child by the time I was 35. newsflash, I am 35. I just turned 35 a couple weeks ago. I don't have no child and I didn't do no sperm bank because I really started to ask myself, why do I want a child? And more importantly, would I be okay if I don't have one? So at this point in my life, I'm pretty indifferent to having a child. I really like children. I have my niece and nephew who I love. But if it never happens for me, I have other things in my life that make me happy, and it just doesn't make or break my reality as a person. But if having a child is fundamental for you, you cannot force that on somebody else. I'm a firm believer that you have to want to be a parent. So if she decided she wants to have children, she could have been an adult about it, told you about it, and just decided to, part ways. But she wanted a child with you specifically, against that being your want for yourself. And then she's like mad that you're not okay with this. I'm genuinely upset that she doesn't see any problem with this. Like, her whole thing, like, this is premeditated, right? You going off the pill is a choice. You poking holes in the condom is a choice that's all leading you to your end goal, which is, I want to have a child with this person. I don't really care what they want. I want a kid and I want it with this person. So, hey, I'm pregnant now. I mean, I would be so furious. It's not even funny. Like, just honestly, buddy, I don't think there's anything good that's going to come out of this scenario for you. I don't really know how, like, not child protection. I don't know how, like, childcare and, is it childcare? No, child support. Sorry. I don't know how child support works in England. In America, it's really based on the state. So it would really be dependent on the state. So in England, I don't know, you might end up paying for a child that you didn't want. And, I'm assuming because you don't want children, you probably wouldn't be in this child's life. I don't think you're wrong for that, right? You didn't want children to begin with. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you should be in the child's life. I mean, is that really beneficial for the child if you're there, you hate them and you don't want to be? I'm not saying that he would hate them. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes if you're like a negative influence, would it not be better for you to remove yourself from the child's life? I don't know. This is all hypothetical, so maybe some people think not, but any way you spin it, the only person that loses here, well, that's not true. I do think, OP, this is a really effed up situation for you, but also, like, the child is really losing. It's a pure innocent who's going to come into this world in a really messed up situation. And I don't think your partner is ever going to see, like, the error of her ways. She didn't see anything wrong with what she's doing now. And I don't know. This is a really terrible situation. And I imagine that it's going to give you a complex about dating in the future as well, because you're probably going to have a lot of issues with trust, especially when it relates to being intimate with someone. And so this is a really hard situation. And I'm just genuinely sorry that happened to you. That's just a huge violation of trust. And I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I'd probably have a few drinks, maybe go to the boxing gym, got to hit something, or one of those places where you can throw axes or break things. Yeah, I would go to one of those places, maybe a few times. And maybe once you're ready, you need to have a conversation with her about, like, what happens next. And if your decision is you don't want to be involved in the child's life at all, I don't think she's the type of person who's going to, like, get you to sign your rights away so you don't have to pay child support. So I don't know, maybe you can get a lawyer and see what your options are in terms of, like, filing against paying child support. Although, to be fair, it would probably be hard to prove that she went off the pill and that she poked holes in the condoms, because that's just something that she told you, so it wouldn't be most likely hearsay. So there's just a bad situation all around for you and for the child, and F your partner. F her, like, hardcore F her. That's all I can say about this. Sorry, what was the original thing you asked? You were asking if you were the asshole? Sorry, I forgot. Am I the asshole for leaving my partner? No. I personally don't think you're the asshole for leaving your partner for this. Like I said, I would want absolutely nothing to do with her. I I don't think I could be in the same room with her without trying to like choke her out, like not to kill her, but just like, you know, just to make her feel some of what you feel. And yeah, I just don't want to be one of those people who's like, you know what, you should try to be in the child's life for the child. I feel like if that's something you want to consider down the line, that's really up to you. But this is a really messed up situation, and the innocent child who's going to come into this situation is going to grow up with one parent who deeply resents their mother, and a mother who's probably going to spew hate about you to them. So they're probably going to grow up hating you until if they ever really find out what happened, and then they might hate their mother. So I don't know. It's not really great for the child, but I guess she gets what she wants. She got a child. Congratulations. I would love for her to, well, I don't know if she would tell this to you, but I would love if she could like have a conversation with you and say and explain to you, why do you want a child? Like, you didn't want children before, but now you do, which again isn't a problem, but like, why? And not only that, you wanted a child, but like you went about it in this way so that you could have it with me specifically. Why? Right? Because I don't know her, and I don't really have enough information to be able to speculate, but it could be a situation where, maybe her friends were having children and she's like, oh my gosh, am I behind the eight ball? Do I need to have kids? But like, I don't know. It's just really interesting to go from like, okay, I want to be childless. We're both happy with that. And to me, there's nothing wrong with like saying that you want to have a child, but she goes straight for the, I'm going to orchestrate it so that I can have a child with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when people meet somebody and they say, oh, this person's really nice, they would be a great father. How do you know that? Like, after meeting them for a few minutes or something. In this case, you guys have been together for a while, but like, gosh, I don't think you're the asshole, but like, this situation is just so insane. And I know that there's women out there that do this. And again, I just want to know, like, is it really worth it for you to do this? Like, you get the child that you want, but it's not like you get the man. The man doesn't want to be with you and probably doesn't want to be involved in the child's life. So like, is it worth it to do this? Like, if you want to go to a sperm bank, sorry, I realized that I went on that tangent and I didn't finish it through, so I'm gonna do it right now. But like, okay, so a couple years ago when I was like interested in looking at sperm banks, you can literally go online and you can kind of like pick your man. Editing Diamond here. So I don't know why or how, but the rest of this particular segment of the video is corrupted. So not the rest of the entire video, but like the next 10 or 15 minutes, you won't see my face because the other half of this particular video file somehow got corrupted while I was editing it. I don't understand, but I'm sorry. So you won't see my face again for another 10 or 15 minutes, but then I will be back for the last couple of stories. So hopefully you still enjoy. Okay, back to the video. Yeah, and pick your father, you know what I mean? Like, they give you a whole profile so you can pick out who you want. In terms of doing a sperm bank, you could definitely adopt if you wanted to. You could foster a child, so I'm just saying that like there's a few different methods to having a child, and I'm not saying that any of those methods are like easy. I know that I've heard that adoption is like really challenging, and I'm sure that varies country by country, certainly varies in the US by state, but I'm just saying, if having a child has suddenly become something that is important to you, there's nothing wrong with that. But how you go about it is important, because I feel like a good mother has to think about the needs of the child. When you become a parent, you can't be selfish like this. You have to put your children first. And is this putting the child that you're going to bring into the world first? It's not. It's just having a child just so you can have a child. And I'm sad. I'm sad for you, OP. I'm sad for the child. I'm really friggin' angry at your partner, whatever her name is. And again, I just don't think there's nothing good that comes out of this situation. And unfortunately, I think you are going to be tied to her for the rest of your life. if she has the child. She says she's having it, so I'm assuming she's having it. You're going to be tied to her for the rest of your life, whether that be monetarily because you have to pay child support, or just maybe you change your mind later on down the line and maybe you want a relationship with your child. I'm not saying that you have to or that you should. I'm just saying people are allowed to change their minds, so that could happen too. What a wild situation. Okay. So that was that one. I think I have like 2 or 3 more. So let's, I feel like I need a break. I feel like I need a breath after that one. Whew, that one was just, I'm still thinking about it. Okay, I'm gonna refresh. I'm trying not to like let that one linger, but it's hard. Okay, so next one we have Mega Driver 187. Partner doesn't do the dishes, cries and sulks when challenged on it. We're dealing with a bunch of teenagers here. What's going on? All right, so my partner and I have been married for over a decade. The dishwasher broke about 6 months ago, and we hope to move soon, so we don't want to invest in a new one. Edit. We don't live in the US. Dishwashers are costly here, and we are poor. Okay. We made the decision together to buy a dish strainer rack and commit to hand washing. And I feel like it's destroying my marriage. Here's why. Okay. My partner simply doesn't do the dishes nearly their share of the time. I've mentioned this repeatedly over the last several months. To be fair, the last few times I've brought it up, I've been less than kind about it, but I'm incredibly frustrated. I'm not name calling or engaging in any other kind of abusive behavior, but I'll admit I've raised my voice and vice versa. In response, they insist that they are doing the dishes their share of the time. When pressed and given specific examples of why this is not the case, they break down in tears. They become petulant and silent and sulk for hours. Over dishes? So he said sulk for hours over dishes. Okay. I feel like I'm being gaslit, whether intentionally or not, because I find myself less and less willing to go through this BS every time I express my frustrations over the issue. And I find myself just doing it while growing increasingly resentful. Sorry, I was looking to see. It doesn't really establish if this is a man or a woman, or this could be a same-sex relationship. I suppose it doesn't matter. But anyway, has anyone ever else managed to successfully navigate this kind of dynamic? I'm at my wit's end. Obviously, if I'm posting about it on freaking Reddit. Edit. No kids. We both work. So they don't have any kids. They both work. I work from home. They work outside the home. The division of chores is not even at all. Probably 70-30 me, but the other chores aren't daily necessities like this one. So there's less of an irritant. Edit. Paper, plastic, disposable utensils, and leaving my partner's dishes unwashed to accumulate are not viable options here because we live in an apartment building in a country where that could result in a vermin infestation. Okay, so I guess he put this in the am I the asshole, but like, I guess, are you asking if you're the asshole for like making a big deal out of this? I'm just going to assume that it is because it's not like in the title, but it is like, am I the asshole thread? All right. You said that the division of chores isn't equal, right? Because I don't really like hand washing dishes either. And I'm kind of half-assed at it. I haven't lived in an apartment where I've had to do that for a while, but the first apartment that I lived in with somebody I was dating at the time, we had to hand wash dishes and I didn't like it. So I guess I'm wondering, because I know you said the division of chores is not even at all. So is this a situation where they don't like to do any kind of chores, right? Because if it was me and they just really don't like washing dishes, okay. Maybe you can cook more. Okay. Maybe you can do X, Y, and Z to sort of compensate for the fact that I'm washing dishes all the time, right? Because it's becoming a big deal. And I have a feeling that it's what you're fighting over, but it's like the top of the iceberg, and really maybe there's some other things, and this is just like what brings that to the surface, you know what I mean? So like, if it is really that big of a deal, right? So much though you feel like it's ruining your marriage. I don't know if it's just that you're like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so it's not really that the person doesn't want to do dishes. It's that they're not willing to meet you halfway, right? Like that's the real problem. You have a situation where you can't buy a new dishwasher and you feel like you're doing all the work. So that's not really technically about washing the dishes, but you're kind of using that as the reason why you're upset. But if this issue becomes escalated to this level, I think it speaks volumes about your dynamic in your relationship, right? Like, you know, you don't have any kids. Do you want kids? You know, what would happen if you guys had children? Who would be the person taking care of the children while also working? Would it be primarily you, or would it be 50-50? So I really feel like this is more of a deeper conversation that you need to have, that's really not about dishes, but about the equality in the relationship. And if I had to guess, I think you feel very undervalued, you know, because it feels like you're doing a lot and the person's just not meeting you halfway and you don't get it. So, you know, but anybody who's like sulking and crying about having to do the dishes, is that what they're really upset about? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's some underlying issues in your relationship that might be helpful for you to go to therapy, you know, like sit down and with a therapist and talk about it so that you don't end up like fighting over doing the dishes. Like, I can tell you that I wouldn't say this exact scenario, but I was with somebody for a really long time, and it was a situation where we both worked full time and I was doing a lot of things in the home. Like I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was folding, I was washing. And what would happen is, because I have a tendency to let things bottle up inside me, I wouldn't say anything about all those things that bother me. And then like he would leave his dish in the sink, even though the dishwasher is dirty, AKA he can put it in the dishwasher, and I would just explode. So if it's anything like that, where you have a situation where you're just not talking about the real issues that bother you, I could see that this would be a problem going forward. Like on the surface, people might think, well, you're just fighting over dishes, but I think you're really having a fight over something a lot more in depth than that, and just using the fact that one person doesn't really want to do dishes as like a way to process that. But yeah, I think that if you don't talk about this with someone, if you don't go to therapy, it could be much more of an issue going forward, especially if like having children is something you guys want and you end up doing that down the line. Like, you know, have you had a conversation about what parenting looks like? Are you the one taking kids to school all the time? You know, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, again, you weren't actually asking, are you the asshole? But no, I don't think you're an asshole for asking somebody to do dishes. And I do feel like somebody crying and sulking about it when challenged on it is an intense response. But again, I don't really think you guys are arguing over doing the dishes. So my advice is therapy. I think therapy can be a really good thing if you're open to it, and you don't have to go together. But in this case, I think it might benefit you guys to go together. And I don't know, there's something about being able to talk to somebody who's like not in your relationship and is very much removed from it, that I think can be really helpful to you. So yeah, my recommendation is that maybe you should try some therapy to kind of work out some of those issues that I feel like you guys might have that don't really have anything to do with dishes. So that's my 2 cents. Moving along. All right. So this one is Swimming Hedgehog 966. I like that name. My family is pressuring me to give my mom a kidney and I don't want to. Am I the asshole? Okay. Give your mom a kidney. All right. So I'm a female, 33, and I can safely say that my mom hates me. Wow. Okay. When I was younger, she would constantly tell me how much she hates me, and she hopes that she gets to see me suffer because I'm making her suffer because she has to deal with my illness. Oh, okay. I'm schizophrenic and I used to have hallucinations and panic attacks because of the hallucinations. My whole family never wanted to understand my problems and acted like I can control my mental issues. I stopped having any contact with them when I was 19, and I haven't heard from anyone since. Now it's been years, and my sister called me and told me that our mom is sick and needs a new kidney to survive. I agreed to get tested because my sister was crying and telling me to do it, and turns out my kidney fits. I said that I don't want to give it to her and everyone hates me now. My dad told me that I'm already R-worded and that would be the only good impact I could give this family. My sister and my other sister both called me insane and told me to unalive myself because I am useless and more. I may be a bad person, but I don't want to give a kidney to her because she made my life worse than it was and treated me horribly because of the way I am. I will never forget when she told me to rot and die when they left me at a mental hospital for a year when I was 16. She was only mad my mental health she was only made my mental health worse, but I feel bad for not wanting to give her a kidney. I don't know what I should do, but I don't want to. Sorry, I don't know if I should do it, but I don't want to. Okay. I would love to understand, like, are you the only one in the family with any kind of mental issues? I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that you are. And so I get the feeling from your post that you consider yourself and maybe the family to kind of be like the black sheep of the family. Not only do you have a mental illness, but that mental illness has caused the family to kind of like gang up on you and be like, you're the one with the problem, as opposed to like their reaction to it. And this could be a troll. I hope it's not, but your mom telling you that she hates you because you're schizophrenic and that she has to deal with that as your mother is horrific. And honestly, I'm genuinely sad that that was your experience, because I imagine there's a lot of deep-seated trauma, not just from your mom, but from your whole family. And it sounds like you cut ties with them. And then, you know, they never wanted anything to do with you because of your mental issues that they felt like, you know, brought the family down. Oh my gosh, you're causing such a burden on the family because you exist and you're not like a perfect child right out the gate. And they came to you when they needed something. I must admit that, like, when people come to me only because they need something, that does not instill me wanting to help you. I think it was really nice of you to get tested, but I don't know if I would have got tested. But I understand the confliction because she is your mom. But then again, there's all of the trauma that she caused to you as well. It's hard to tell you not to give her your kidney because it's a forever thing. I mean, the surgery is dangerous for you too, and it takes a kidney away from you. And I'm guessing, like, from the way your post is, you're the only person who's a match. However, I do not think that you giving your mom a kidney is going to fix your relationship with your mom or your family. And in all honesty, they don't deserve it. Well, she doesn't deserve it. Like, just because your mother, she doesn't get to treat you like crap your whole life. And then when she needs something from you, now she wants to be your mother and love you, you know? And your family, like, guilting you into this by telling you that you're horrible if you don't do it, that you should die if you don't give it to her. I mean, that's really not going to instill me to do anything for them. It's just, it would have me going in the opposite direction. Like, oh, bet I'm trash, I'm garbage. Okay, make it without me then, you know? Yeah, it's just, I guess if it was me and, like, I had grown up in your situation, I would feel incredibly conflicted. It's a really big decision to make. You're 33, so I don't know. I don't know if I could tell you right now just to not give her a kidney. I think, like, the petty in me would be like, don't give that bitch anything. But again, she's your mom, but she's also the cause of, like, what I imagine is a lot of trauma and suffering from you. And I feel like if you did give her your kidney, it would just be because you were deeply pressured by the rest of your family. And maybe, like, in the back of your mind, you're thinking that it might restore your relationship with them. But I don't know. Therapy. Therapy. One of my other Am I the Asshole thread videos was like, okay, you should cut these people off. This video is all about going to therapy and not BetterHelp. Like, go find an actual therapist you can talk to, like, face to face. Okay, so yeah, genuinely, I would kind of want to know, like, how long do you have, right? Because your mom's, if she needs a kidney, I'm assuming she's probably on dialysis or something like that. And maybe you can ask questions before you make a decision of the doctors, right? So like, okay, so yeah, I would ask a lot of questions, right? So I would ask the doctors, okay, realistically, if she doesn't get a kidney from me, what's the next steps, right? So she's on dialysis. Does she go on the kidney transplant list? Like, what's that look like? Is there a good possibility she could get a kidney? I suppose that would depend on like her blood type and things like that. So I would ask the doctors questions first to understand what happens if you don't donate a kidney. And then I would ask, okay, so if I do choose to give my kidney, what happens to me, right? Okay, major surgery. I could die trying to give my kidney. Complications for me. So I think this is a really big decision for you to make. I think it's best that you not make it in the environment of your family pressuring you. I don't know if that's possible. Like, if you can cut them off, maybe go to a therapist too, if you have time to do that. I'm an advocate for therapy, so I just don't want you to like be pressured into this. That's hard. It's hard to say considering. But yeah, I want you to really sit down and really understand the implications of whether you do either option and really make the best choice for you, irrespective of what they want, because they've never cared about what you want and they've kind of written you off until they need something. So in my heart, I think if this had been my dynamic with my family and my mother, I wouldn't give her my kidney. You don't deserve my kidney. You have never been my mother. You've treated me like trash. But it's easy for me to say that, never having been in that situation. And I don't know if that's how I would feel like if I was actually in that situation. So my advice, do a lot of research, measure out the pros and cons, make the best choice for you. And I want to emphasize that, for you, not for them, not for her, for you. And just keep in mind, if she were to pass away, it would not be your fault because you didn't give her a kidney. You're not obligated to give her a kidney because she's your mother. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on that one. But yeah, take a lot of time and really think about everything. Because again, it's major surgery for you too. And you could die on the operating table. You could have complications. So it's important to think about all of the things that could happen to you if you choose to give your kidney to her too. All right, last one. All right, so this comes to us from OK Mills 4869. Am I the asshole for ignoring my dad's birthday and not getting him a gift? So ever since I was 16, male, I was a little kid. So ever since I was a little kid, 16 male, I got my dad a birthday gift with the help of my surrogate grandparents. My mom died when I was 2, so it was me and my dad for a lot of years. Dad and I used to be really close. Then when I was 10, he met Jen, and he met her kids who were 18 months and 3 years old at the time. Dad and Jim fell in love pretty fast, and they moved in together a few months after they met. Jen was divorced and her kids' dad wasn't around, so my dad decided he needed to step up and be a good dad to them. He told me things would change, but I was still his son and he'd make time for me. But ever since he decided Jen's kids were going to be his, he has let me down a lot. Oh man, I'm so sorry. It started with us having plans and him having to cancel because one of the kids was sick. Then it was they had a play or a game he needed to be there for. Or it was they had decided to have one of the kids' birthday parties early and dad needed to be there, but he wasn't doing the same for me. When I got sick, he'd send me to my grandparents or expect me to stay with Jen while he did something with Jen's kids. If I had something on, he'd apologize for missing it and he'd say he'd had plans with Jen's kids. Oh, and the big thing that pisses me off is for the last 6 years almost, he gives Jen's kids credit and thanks them too when I buy him a gift. Even when I tell him it's only for me, he talks about it's teamwork to get him that. I tried talking to him. He admitted that he let me down. He told me he was afraid of Jen's kids feeling rejected if he were to cancel with them or me, that he didn't want them to feel that he loved me more with all three of us when all three of us are equal. I told him he cares more about them And he asked how I could say that after 10 years of having all his attention. He asked me to think about the kids whose bio dad walked out on them and who could feel really unwanted if he were to let them down. I told him I didn't care about them or their feelings or whether they feel loved or wanted. I told him I don't feel loved and wanted. I feel resentful of the fact that he gives them credit for my gifts. He cancels on me for them, but he won't give the same back. He told me he can't change it, but he tried to let me down less. I told him he was putting them ahead of me, and I told him I was done. He can enjoy having 2 kids instead of 3. He didn't think I would actually follow through. The big talk happened back in April. Dad's birthday was yesterday, and I didn't join in any of the celebrations, and I got him nothing. I didn't even say happy birthday. I knew they were going out for the day, but I didn't go, and I knew ahead of time. When they got home, Dad was upset because I was on the couch playing video games. He told me he missed me. Jen told me I had really hurt my dad and was behaving like a child instead of a 16-year-old. Am I the asshole? Okay, this is a pretty difficult situation, right? So you have a situation where you've been with your dad for 10 years and your mom's passed away, so it's really just been you and him. And I would imagine that being an only child is a lot different than like having siblings. I only have one sibling, but I've never been in this particular scenario. I think that your dad definitely overcompensated, and but not just that, like Jen's children were very young when they got together, a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. Realistically, and this is no shade to you, children who are under the age of 5 require a lot more attention and care than a 10-year-old would. So they just naturally take a lot more of your energy. So I feel like when Jen came into your dad's life, he overcompensated because he saw 2 children that were, very young, who needed him a lot more in a different way than you needed him. And I appreciate that like you were able to have a conversation with him and that he acknowledged your feelings. I don't feel like your dad really knows how to fix the situation, because I think that's something that he said, that he can't go back and change what happened in the past. But I also just think your dad doesn't know how to fix it, right? Like he realizes that he overcompensated, and by spending like too much attention, by giving too much attention to them, which takes away from you, but he doesn't know how to like balance between giving them attention and giving you attention and wanting to be like a good father to all 3 of you. The theme for this video, therapy. I do think that like therapy is really going to be helpful for you, because if you and your dad don't talk this out, I think you might end up developing like even more of a resentful relationship, and not just against your dad, but against Jen and against, those other 2 children. And I have a feeling that I know you said you didn't really care about their feelings. I don't know if that's true or if that's just you being really angry at the situation. But you also haven't said like what your relationship is like with like Jen or the other 2 people. I don't really agree with Jen's comment that you're behaving like a child. You are a child. Like, I don't know when 16 became you not being a child. You are still very much a child. And this whole scenario is something that you're allowed to be angry about. And I don't know, maybe Jen is just threatened because you're his first child, and if he spends more attention with you, it'll take away from her children. I don't know that. I'm just speculating. But that's a really effed up comment to make to somebody. You should behave like you're behaving like a child. A 16-year-old is still very much a child, so I don't know what she's talking about. You're not, definitely it's not the same thing as being 5, but I don't know when you're supposed to be more mature. You're allowed to be upset and angry, and when you're a child, you don't always know how to process that sort of those sort of emotions. Good on you for addressing it with your dad and having a conversation with that. Again, I don't think this is going to be fixed without some outside help. Therapy. Therapy is a good thing. I don't know why we give it such a negative connotation, but like, you may not want to do therapy with him right away. Like, I think maybe it might be helpful for you to talk to somebody, and then when you're ready, maybe you can pull in your dad too, or maybe you can do therapy as a family, whatever the option is. You are a kid, so I don't know if you probably can't make that decision without an adult, but I think that would be really helpful for your family, because I only see this going down the road of like, once you turn 18, you're not you're not looking back. You know, you're just like, F you, dad, F the rest of the family. And you're just not interested in having a relationship with any of them. And again, I think your dad overcompensated, and I just don't think he knows how to fix it at this point. He still loves you. He's your dad, and he still wants to be in your life. So I don't really think this isn't about you not getting him a gift. This is about you being very angry and resentful, and as a measure of that, saying to you, well, you don't value me, I don't value your birthday. Like, it's nothing to me. And that's what it says. And I don't know if that will have the effect you want. Like, this isn't a change that will happen overnight. And again, you're really young. You're 16. So I think having a conversation with your dad, and maybe even Jen. Again, I don't really know the relationship that you have with Jen, but it might be helpful for you to talk to both of them so that she can understand how you feel as well. Because like it or not, she's a big part of it. Her and her children are a big part of it. The children are too young. I don't know, it's been a few years since they were dating, right? 6 years? Yeah, 6 years. So the children are still pretty young. So yeah, I think maybe it would be good for you to like really sit down and talk to them, just to really express your feelings again for both of them, so that maybe you guys can put a plan in place to balance the scales, so to speak. I mean, that's not really, again, not something that could happen overnight, because this is something that's been building for years. But I just don't want you to get to the point where you just like cut them all off, because I don't think your dad is trash. I just think that he didn't want those children to grow up feeling like they weren't loved. So he just overcompensated. But he's your dad, and he still loves you. So I think your feelings are very valid. I think you have every right to be upset about the situation. I mean, this isn't really about ignoring your dad's birthday. It's about all of the other things. You're just doing that as a way to kind of lash out against him, because you feel like you've been sort of ignored and neglected from him for years. So that's really just your way of just being like, you don't care about me, I don't care about you. But yeah, I think, your feelings are valid. I think you deserve to be angry and upset. I just don't want you to let it fester in you and have it create this contemptuous relationship with your father, indefinitely, because you could waste a lot of time that way. And yeah, if you ever see this, buddy, like I said, I would start by trying to have a conversation with both of them, and maybe throwing out the idea of talking to a family therapist, because I imagine that like melding two families together is very difficult, especially when you're talking about melding people with children. It's hard enough to meld your life with a partner, but let alone if you have children and the partner has children. And yeah, so I think those would be some good first steps for you to just kind of help you get on the path of like healing this relationship with your father, and ultimately with your, I'm sorry, is he married to Jen? Sorry, is he married to Jen? Sorry, it doesn't say that they're married, so you're not related to them by blood or by like step siblings, half siblings. So I don't know, but those are my thoughts on these Am I the Assholes? I think I'm going to mix it up next time and maybe like try some of the other categories like relationship advice or something like that. But I do like picking the ones that are on the top. So I think I'll just try to pick some at random as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about any of those. That's my time. Catch you later. Bye.